Hi, everybody. Welcome to 3Q New Mexico's Business Podcast. I am your host, Pam Myers, and my wonderful co host is the fabulous, as always, Erica Yoakum. Our guest today is Carol Clegg. Carol is a progress and mindset coach for women, and we're delighted to have you here to talk about what you're doing, Carol. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Erica. This is so exciting because we have a little bit of history here, Erica and I.
Yeah.
So looking forward to the conversation. Thanks for having me.
So before we started recording, we were talking about Carol. Carol and I have known each other since 2009 when VAs were like so exotic that we spent most of our time explaining to folks what the heck we did.
Right.
Because, we got all the weird jokes and whatever. Now, and this has got, I know, Carol, you've got to crack up now. Like people are on Zoom and recording all the time like it's nothing. And back when we started, it was like, no, really, we can talk. We do not need to be in your office to talk with you. That was so huge.
Right.
So I still do VA work, but I have transitioned into a, COO of a podcast and an audio book company. And Carol, you were saying that you've transitioned into coaching. So how did you, I was going to make some smarty, when you grew up and you turned into this coach, right? Because it's, how did you transition, or how did you figure out that was the path you wanted to go down?
So I can share it. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Is that okay?
Right.
Fair.
Yeah,
Fair.
really fair.
But it is wonderful to see that you yourself have transitioned. And when I look at when we did start, just even using VA, nobody knew what that was. So you had to say virtual assistant. And then it was the virtual part that just floored everybody. It was like, no, we can't do this remotely. We have to be in the office, be there. And then that trust element of handing over stuff and passwords and, just all of that stuff when you think back to those days. So we were pioneers. Look at us. and so we've grown, you taking on a whole new avenue. And I think it's been stages. So if I take that back, to when we started, and then I started specializing in social media. It just became a space that I enjoyed helping other people promote what they were doing. And in turn, what that meant is I had to learn tools. And I think that kind of went with the whole VAs. Where did you specialize and what tools did you, and it just, even as a midlife woman coach, it just came naturally to me. And I'm not a techie person. So for other people that are listening, believe me, you can explore, and you've got to find the tools that work for you.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of it moved on. And so I started doing social media marketing for specific clients. And can you believe I still have a client that I work with, Erica, that when you and I first met.
Oh, wow. I do too. I have one. So Margaret's with me since the very beginning. It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Isn't that amazing? That's crazy.
It's wonderful. And you shared the story of horses in Placitas. Well, she is a real estate agent and she owns a travel company. And I do both sets of marketing for her. And I remember those days when the pictures of the houses that were for sale had horses.
Right.
Right.
So that's going back, and that just triggered that memory. But I guess so what happened is I sort of moved on from the social media marketing and then just wanting to help other women. And so I moved into masterminds and gathered people together and realized that as an entrepreneur or solopreneur, whatever you want to call us, but working alone and from home can be sometimes soul destroying.
Yes.
It's a lot of time we spend alone. And, back prior to COVID, yes, we could still get into co-working spaces and still work. And, so it was just this whole thing of bringing it together. Then I had this brainwave that I needed to host retreats in Portugal. And so I ended up attending somebody else's retreat. And that's what inspired this whole journey and moving into more of the whole coaching. Never got my retreats off the ground. I did give it an awful good try, a couple of years. COVID got in the way. And it just, I had to let it go. And I don't know if you've had something similar in your business journey of kind of letting go of a baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know, Pam, if there's been something for you that you kind of had to go, okay, this isn't working. I need to let it go. And it's quite a painful split, but
Right.
it was good afterwards.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. I mean, those kinds of decisions are always so stressful, right? Or they certainly can be stressful. Yeah. And as women, we try and do so much. I mean, we run households and take care of everything and then run a business. It's different.
Yeah, no, it is. But I think that, trying to make decisions of what works for you at what season in life is an important space to ponder.
Right.
And, so letting go of that was wonderful. And then the masterminds kept going. And then I've always had positive intelligence coming at me from different spaces and different people that have got themselves certified in the coaching method. And the opportunity arose, and they have an incredible model that they offer a scholarship for coaches to enter into their program. And so I was able to do that with some mastermind fellow women from around the world, which was also fun. And after I had done the training, I was like, this is for me. This is absolutely, it resonates with me. There is kindness in the community, and it's just bringing overall a positive sense. I mentioned of ease and flow, the whole method, the whole organization. And so I embraced that over a year ago. And now try and combine their method of the foundation program along with helping you find tools that you can make progress. So the crazy thing is I used to call myself an accountability coach. And I found that accountability kind of stuck not comfortably with people. It was like, you're going to hold me accountable.
Like a mom instead of a
that I've done something wrong and I need, and so it's literally been in the last 2 weeks that I've gone, okay, I think progress is a little more warm and a little more inviting than accountability.
You're thinking, and exactly.
So that's where I am now.
I want to take a moment to point out the fact that, so you said middle life, right? Like I think it's very, like I tell everybody, I'm gonna live to be 100, right? And I think back to like my mom, 60, done. Right. She was, her life was done. She was like, done, checked out, done. I don't really care anymore. And how vibrant and how it's so different for me. Like it's so different for us. Like, midlife literally means we have as much ahead of us as behind us, which I just think I want to take that moment and just say, yay us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to me, the term is also very broad. I kind of don't know that midlife, so, sometimes people in their 40s pop up and go, is that my category? And then we go, but we're also over here in our 60s plus.
Right.
So it stretches a very, we're all included.
Yeah.
Right. Nice. I like it.
Yes. Wow. So talk about your what you're doing with your progress and mindset coaching, Carol.
Lovely, thank you. So with the PQ program, they basically refer to it as a mental fitness program, and it is an app-based program that basically they use in companies and with individuals. And the coaches move into their different areas of speciality. So whether it be leadership, whether it be health, whether it be life, etc., the same basic principles can apply.
Okay.
Yeah. So you work through basically looking at how to make constant and consistent change to interrupting what we call in the terminology your saboteurs, but it's the judge that jumps up and down and says, you can't do this. This is what you should be doing. And then, as we all know, that negative voice just gets louder and louder and louder.
Right.
And so what we learn through this operating system is that you need to hear the left-hand analytical side of your brain, but then tell it to quieten down and allow yourself to shift into a different perspective and try to relook at something with what they call the sage powers.
Mhm.
And that is, how could we explore this? What could we innovate and bring new, and just look at it through a different lens?
Mhm. Mhm.
And each person is different. So each person
Right.
has a different type of judge that jumps up and down, but we all can access these same sage powers to help us transition.
Okay.
And so that is where, you build these habits, they become ingrained
Mhm.
into you, that you don't need to necessarily have a coach with you side by side to manage your day.
Right.
So they are something so simple as actually just taking your fingertips and touching your fingertips together and allowing yourself to feel that sensation to
Mhm.
stop the hijacking
Yeah.
of the negative thought process,
Mhm.
and then move into, well, how else could I look at this? So
Mhm.
that's the simple observation of it.
Mhm.
But it is something, it's a system that in other words, you're going to learn something and then you can put it into motion.
Right.
It's not, let me learn another thing and I'll never use it, and I've just signed up for another course and I'll never use it.
Right.
This is an application that you can go on and use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
For me, that's exercise classes.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I'm guilty, I'm afraid. Yeah, I've got to find different ways to hold ourselves accountable, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think we all, again, as women, it helps to have that. It helps to have those tools, right?
Mhm.
Because we are juggling so much typically, and sometimes you just need just that little tweak,
Right.
to your
Yeah.
point, in how you
Yeah.
are looking at something, and it can make a
Yeah.
world of difference.
And
Absolutely.
I like everybody is different, because I've never been a fan of anything that says this is a end all be all for everybody, because
Right.
as I've gone through my life, I've realized that there's so much about me. I won't even get into medical records, but I mean, weird, different, and unusual, very common in my world for me.
Right.
So
Right.
if somebody says, "Oh, this works for everyone," I'm over here going,
Mm-mm.
"Yeah, yeah."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you met me? No, you haven't.
Right. And I think the importance is also the seasons, because, even though I was introduced to this concept over 3 years ago, and so I think in each thing that we're doing, we need to give space to the fact of, is this the right timing? Is this what I need in my life right now?
Right.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
Very
Yeah.
true. Very
So
true.
good. Right.
Yeah, there are times, yes, I totally, yeah. And sometimes I wonder, that shows up, I think this happens for me anyway. It shows up as a test.
Mm.
Like, are you sure where you're going is where you want to go? Because you could go this way too. And for me, it's to sit there and go, okay. So great example. I don't advertise VPA anymore. I haven't for years. I've had 2 people show up just in the last couple of weeks who are like, "Oh, I need you." But I've got a whole other world that I've built with Audavita, that, in the podcast, and I'm running the company. So I look at it as the universe going, "Are you sure?"
Right.
Because, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay." So, but it's good for me because it makes me check in with myself and go,
Mm.
"No, I really like being over here. I really like doing this over here."
Mm.
And yeah, it's very interesting how the universe tends to throw that at me and throw that at me.
Right.
Are you
Yeah.
really, really sure? Like, yep, yep, 'cause it shows up in interesting times.
Right. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And you primarily work with women, right, Carol?
I do. That has been my focus, just because that's kind of where I'm at, and my circle, seems to have been that. I would love at some stage to take this into smaller companies, because I think helping the company culture, and interesting enough, my 2 clients from the VA are both here in New Mexico. And so, they are both small companies. And so it'd be lovely to take something like this training into smaller companies, and give everybody tools to just kind of work together.
Right.
And stop some of that sabotage stuff and work through issues that that you can have in small companies. So
Like grown-ups.
but yeah, there you go. What's that about?
That's overrated.
Yeah, I know. I remember. Yeah, you remember when you were going? You're like, I can't wait till I'm a grown-up and I can do what I want. What that means is always having to have food on the table and groceries and bill paying. Like somebody left out those details when I was.
Right.
He told me it was yelling down the hallway. What do you want to eat? I don't know. What do you want to eat? Yeah. So wow, going into a company. Wow. So that changes the dynamic though, because if you're working one-on-one and then now you're working one-to-many, is that
so it does facilitate that. In fact, my one-to-one comes afterwards. So the foundation program we generally do together in a small group of 4 to 5 people. And the interesting thing with that is, once we've moved into the whole confidentiality and everybody's trusting everybody, there's actually beautiful growth that can happen when other people get to share their stories. And it's very structured. So it has a process and it has an outcome, but there's an opportunity for people to try it on. So it does definitely work in a a small group setting, and it has been taken into companies on a larger scale. And then people could break off from that and go, okay, hang on a moment, I want to pursue this a little further. Let's move into one-on-one and individualize. But I think for me, the whole mastermind thing that I did, I loved facilitating. So this allows that, once again, you're facilitating, you're letting others learn from each other. And that's where I think the power comes, is we have so much to learn from each other.
Right. Right. Yes.
And just hearing each other's input and takeaway and experiences. It's lovely. It's definitely lots to learn from somebody else.
I've been in, so that's a skill I don't have, as I'm not as strong in, is the facilitation. I've had mastermind groups with 4 very strong women all kind of looking at each other like, now what?
Right.
It's like, this was a great idea.
And now?
Now what are we doing?
Right.
Yeah.
So how are we moving forward? It's it was, and trying to hold each other accountable, but that facilitation, that's really the key, I think, to that.
I think so, yeah. And having, once again, your systems in place, if you do want to hold each other accountable, where are you going to do that? What works for each of you? So, I mean, my go-to is WhatsApp. I just find it really easy in creating, a group conversation there. It makes it, easy to check in, easy to ask questions. But yeah, putting those things in place, as you said, Erica, who's leading this mastermind? Who's leading this discussion?
Right.
And that could alternate. You could go, okay, we'll alternate. If we're meeting every 2 weeks, let's go around. You facilitate this week and I'll do it next week. And share the load.
Right.
Which is also helpful. But,
so funny. I'm hearing so many of the things from your VA world, like tools and resources. It's and accountability, all these things that you learned along the way as being a VA have become, great tools that you're doing now.
And so that just shows you, because Erica, you and I, as you say, when we started off as pioneers, self-taught along the way, and look how it's equipped us. So we never know what where that journey is going to take us.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. We can plan all we want, but you don't always know where that journey is going to take you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true, Carol.
So what's a perfect client for you?
A perfect client for me would be somebody who's been in business, let's say perhaps for at least a year or so. So they've kind of got a feeling of what they're wanting to do, but they're overwhelmed with too many ideas and feeling stuck. Just kind of going, I've got this, I've got what I know I want to do, but I'm just not moving forward. And so that is who I would enjoy working with is tailor making tools, because it's not everybody's not the same learner. So it's not all, whiteboard and Trello or sticky notes or a paper calendar. We each, so that's what I enjoy with the one-on-one, is identifying, what do you need? It's not what I think you need. It's what would you need to help you feel in control of your week, feel in control of growing your business. And I guess just because at this stage of life, it's just so important to enjoy this process. It doesn't need, we get to choose who we want to work with.
Yes.
Maybe when you're younger, you kind of go, I'll work with any client. But, it's got to be a two-way street. So and I think that energy then comes, is if the client's happy with you and you're happy with them, that there's a beautiful journey ahead.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it took me a while, but I did learn that I don't have to work with everybody.
Right. Oh, it took me a time as well.
I can say, oh, this is not a good fit.
Yeah. And you have to figure that out. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
like dating. You don't, you meet people and not everybody is compatible with each other.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. No. So.
Oh, goodness. So if I'm going to put your website up here, Carol.
Thank you.
There you go. And it's an awesome site. I love it. The picture, I think the picture on the front cover is just,
it is
perfectly suited to what you're trying to accomplish. The feeling is so, it's like fresh and relaxed and confident. And that's, if that's what folks are looking to find in their world, it could be a good person to reach out to. And if you're like me, it's like, sure, call me up, let's chat, we'll figure out if we
absolutely you've got to have that opportunity. It doesn't have to be a commitment, because and it is awkward sometimes to step into that, well, I just want to talk to you, and then if I don't like you, what then?
Right. Yeah.
It's okay, but it's more honesty, right? We just need more honesty and vulnerability. I don't know.
No, I totally agree. Yes, both of those. Absolutely. That's the only way, and that's the only way for me to keep it fun. It's if I try to be somebody other than me,
right?
It turns into a disaster. Yeah.
And it's obvious when you're trying to be something else, right? I mean, it comes across that way too, I think.
But
Well, Sarah, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
This was wonderful. Lots of fun. It was lovely to see you both, and fun to catch up, Erica.
Yeah, I know. It's great.
Thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
I'm going to put your site up here one more time. So it's carolclegg.com, which is awesome. 2 G's. Got to remember that. Yeah. I can highly recommend Carol. I've actually sent lots of people your way. So over the years. So yeah, it's solid stuff.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol, for joining. Thanks everybody for listening.
See you next time.
Soon.